Happy Friday, Good Friday even, to those of you celebrating. It's me, Jessica, your health fitness program manager from McLean. Excited to guide you through today's mind-body connection. Who is ready to just breathe, relax, stretch, move, take some time away from your desk, from all of the other responsibilities that we have for work, for life, what's coming up this weekend. We've got, if you're here right this second, 47 minutes of awesomeness coming up right now together to just be our best selves. We're going to get started today in Savasana. We're going to get started laying down in Savasana. Look, there's Uncle Buck. We'll just get a little bit more Uncle Buck. Okay. You're not into it, Uncle Buck? That's fine. That's fine. All right, 2 minutes till we get started, so just find a space for yourself to lay down on the floor. If you want to have some props around, gather whatever you want. We're just going to do what feels right today. If you're here early, and you have any aches or pains that I can help us stretch through, let me know. You can also always message me privately. I'm happy to work towards making classes that work best for your body. All right, starting in just 1 minute. Grab some water. Ooh. Make it smell nice. Dim the lights. Wear some comfortable clothing. And then take some steps away from your computer. Step away from the computer, Carol Ann. That's pretty much how I feel. Okay. Ogly doggly. Make sure this came up on the right page. Did. Proud. Okay. Welcome, y'all. You're just tuning in, it's me, Jessica, the Health Fitness Program Manager from McLean. We're going to get started down on our mats today, laying down in Savasana. Make sure you have your water nearby. There will not be any specific water breaks, but you are welcome to take water anytime you want. But I do encourage you to ask yourself, are you taking a water break because you're thirsty? Or are you taking a water break because you don't want to do or don't think that you can do whatever stretch or posture that we might be working on? One of the reasons your yoga teachers usually encourage you to make sure you drink water before and after class, because so frequently in class, not just in yoga class, in any class, we tend to, when things get hard, look for external sources of relaxation. And frequently we don't really have a lot of stuff with us when we show up for an exercise class, but we do have that water. We know that reaching for water means that you can take a break. So just something to think about. Think about if you've ever done that, just reached for your water bottle just so you could stop doing something. I have. It's okay. All right. So right now we're just breathing, relaxing on the floor as much as possible, really starting to come into your breath. Doing a scan of your body from head to toe and noticing how you feel today. And whatever it is that you feel, just being okay. Being okay with that. Maybe you feel great. That's awesome. It's easy to feel okay about that. But maybe you're feeling a little stressed. I know it's the holiday season again. There's a lot of people who are getting together, and there's a lot of people who still are not able to get together. It is what it is. So maybe you're feeling that in your body a little bit. Maybe you're feeling it in your mind. Take this time, take today's practice to just use your breath to let go as best you can of all of the thoughts and feelings and stress and tension and things that don't serve us, that don't honor us, that putting time and effort and thought toward isn't going to change anything. So let's just let it go. Awesome. We're going to come into banana pose. So inhale your arms up overhead. Let's take a moment and actually exhale, relax our arms down by our side. Oh, that feels so good. If you're having any trouble getting that lower back to the floor, you can take a moment right now to bend your knees. We're just gonna warm up that upper body just a teeny bit here. So pulling your lower belly in and pressing that lower back to the floor. The backs of your fingers can drape against the floor as you inhale those arms up overhead. Still drawing that belly in, keeping your rib cage knit as possible. And then exhale. Back of the fingers touch the floor as you bring your arms back down, palms by your hips. Let's do 3 more. Inhale up. Really stretch out to the side, but still working on keeping that rib cage knit together, and exhale down. Back of the head. Neck relaxed on the mat. Inhale up. Exhale down. Last one, last time. Inhale up. We're going to keep our arms up there this time. And if you bent your legs, go ahead and extend those legs back out. Work to draw that belly back in. And once again, knit your rib cage together. Go ahead and walk your legs over to the right side as much as possible while keeping your hips squared to the center of the mat. And then walk your hands over to the right as much as possible. If you're feeling limited in space, maybe you want to grab hold of your opposite elbow. If it feels good, you can experiment with crossing one leg over the other. We're just working to create as deep of a stretch through the left side of the body as we reach over to the right. And see if you can create a little extra length as well. So if your shoulders drew all the way up to your ears like beautiful earrings, allow those shoulders to dangle down. Just a little bit. Draw that belly in. Let's take 3 more breaths right here. Feel free to close your eyes during this practice to really tune into how your body is feeling today. If you decide that closing your eyes doesn't feel right for you, work to find a soft gaze on one spot in front of you. All right, if you crossed your legs, uncross your legs. We're going to walk those back to the center. Bring your arms back towards the center, maybe shake out through your hips, and then walk those legs over to the opposite side, to the left side. Just do the best you can with the space that you have today. Go ahead and walk your upper body over to the left side. Create as big of a stretch through the right side of your body as possible. If it feels good to lift one leg up and cross it, go for it. And if that feels like too big of a stretch for you, uncross it. Doesn't matter what anyone else is doing. Doesn't matter what you did yesterday or what you might be able to do tomorrow. You're just honoring what your body brings right now. Relax that upper body into the mat as much as possible. Take 2 more breaths here. And then on that exhale, if you crossed your legs, uncross them. Start to walk them back to the center line of your body. Bring your upper body back into the center. Maybe ground through the mat once more. Relax your arms down by your side. Bend your knees and place the soles of the feet down to the floor. Let's just wake up our abdominal core and that back a little bit with a couple of glute bridges. So relax your arms down by your side. Open your chest, but don't open your chest so much that that rib cage flares out. So really pull that belly in, knit your rib cage back together, and notice how that pressed that lower back down on the mat again. We want to come into our glute bridge from a neutral spine. So you're, you might have a teeny little bit of a bridge under your back, but it's nothing excessive, and you're not tilting your hips up off of the floor so that your glutes are lifted. With your arms by your side, press your feet into the floor, draw that lower belly in once more, and use your inhale to lift yourself up, and exhale to slowly lower yourself down. Let's do 5. Inhale, lift yourself up. Exhale, lower yourself down. Keeping this nice neutral spine. You're even keeping your upper back on the floor. Maybe you even keep that bra strap area on the floor to find that big lift and lower. Your hips don't come so high that you can't see your knees. Your knees should still be visible if they normally are. All right. I lost count. Let's do 2 more. Last one. Inhale, stay up here. We're going to stay up here for 2 more breaths, just squeezing those glutes, grounding your heels and the balls of the feet to the floor. 1 more big inhale. And on your exhale, gently lower your back down towards the mat. Really make sure that you're gluing that tailbone down all the way down through your sacrum. Belly is still drawn in tight, and then 1 leg at a time, we're going to draw our knees towards our chest. They don't have to come super close though, because we don't want to sacrifice losing the contact of the lower back to the floor. And once those knees are lifted, you can once again engage through your abs. Awesome. Let's go ahead and inhale those arms up towards the ceiling, right in line with the chest. So really drawing that belly in. Can you bring your knees in line right on top of your hips? Already starting to bring a little challenge to those lower abs. We're just going to tap 1 toe down at a time and then bring it back up to 90 degrees. Tapping that toe down, bring it back up to 90. If this is a little too much with your arms straight up towards the ceiling, you know you can always relax your arms down to the floor. And if you need to, even placing those thumbs gently underneath of your glutes. We're going to go for 2 more each side. Make sure you're still drawing that lower belly in. Just really waking up that core, both front and back. Awesome. That was the last one. This time you can draw your knees a little closer towards your chest. But once again, don't lose the contact of that lower back towards the floor. Give yourself a nice little massage right here. Keep it small. Just making some circle with your knees, first in one direction, then in the opposite direction. Where we're gonna work into those abs just a little bit more. Very similar move to what we did a moment ago. I'm just wiggling down my mat to give myself some space overhead. We're gonna come into basically bird dog on our backs though. So this time, once again, stretch those arms up towards the ceiling. If that didn't work for you, stick with those toe taps to the floor. Bring your knees back in line with each other in tabletop and press that lower back into the mat. We're going to go ahead and keeping this 90-degree bend in your knees as your right arm reaches behind you, left toe taps towards the floor. Inhale back up to 90 and then opposite. So opposite arm, opposite leg, keeping that 90-degree bend in your leg. working with your breath, keeping things really nice and slow, focusing most on continuing to draw your belly in, lower back towards the floor, and that rib cage knit towards each other. Why is that so hard to say today? I have absolutely no idea. Let's get one more on each side, and then we'll get to release those feet back down towards the floor. Awesome. Maybe you want to bring your hands behind your knees or go one at a time to release those knees down to the floor and take a nice little windshield wipe through each side. As you're doing this windshield wipe, really start to get a little stretch in the glutes by actively stretching the top or inside knee towards the end of the mat. So not just side to side. Side to side feels great, but if you go to the side and then this top leg stretches down to the corner of the mat, you'll feel a little bit more engagement through those glutes. We'll hit one more time each side. And then let's come into a reclining spine twist before we sit ourselves up. So knees up towards the ceiling, soles of the feet on the floor, stretch your arms out to the side, press into your heels, lift your hips up and roll to whichever side feels right for you today as you roll onto your hips. See how much of your shoulders you can keep on the mat. Maybe you want to use a prop. I know I told you to bring whatever felt right for you today nearby. You can always place a block or a pillow under your legs or between your legs to find the stacking that feels right for you. Maybe you want to actively work to stack your hips a little bit more. Feel a little bit more stretch through the spine. Maybe change the stretch through your arms. Just move around, but with intention to find what feels good. And once you find a place to stay, really relax here. Create a little extra length through the crown of your head. Oh, feels so good. Let's take 3 more breaths right here. On your exhale, take your time, roll over to your back once more. Back press down into the floor, press into your heels, lift those hips up, similar to how we did in that glute bridge, and roll over onto your opposite hip. Keep that opposite shoulder on the floor as much as possible, and then if it feels good for you, work to stack one hip on top of the other and see how that creates more of an engagement through your back. Do what feels good with your arms. Use any props that you need to with your legs and come into your stillness. Ask yourself if you can create a little bit more length through the crown of your head, a little more space of your shoulders away from your ears, a little more knitting that rib cage together and drawing your belly in, just to be as active here in the posture as possible. Last 2 breaths. Let's stay here on the side of our body. Take the arm that's extended behind you and go ahead, close it together so we find ourselves in an awesome recovery position on the side of the body. Take your top hand and press it down in front of your chest to lift yourself up and come up to a seated position. Yay! Let's take a moment here in Sukhasana. We'll find some nice relaxation and releases through our necks. Fold your legs in towards the center line of your body as much as feels good for you. If it feels better for you to have your legs open in front of you, or maybe to take a slight little bend of your knees and place the soles of the feet on the floor. If you want to lift your glutes up to be on a cushion, because that can help you open up those hip flexors a little bit more. I know, I find it easy to get my knees pretty close to the floor, But it's not like that every day. Someday they're all the way up towards my armpits. If you find that your knees are all the way up towards your armpits, if you're finding some rounding through your lower back by trying to sit here, work to open those legs up, or lift yourself up, or even let it go and just do your best. That's my last suggestion. Okay, so we're just sitting here on the floor. You're taking that rounding out of your lower back, so consider a slight little forward hinge. Sometimes you might even need to actually reach back and move your glute med out of the way. It's okay, lucky us. So with that nice flat back and that slight forward hinge and a gentle engagement of our bellies so that our backs will feel good. Once again, knit that rib cage together. So a nice straight spine. Notice, ask yourself if you can sense if you're really leaning forward extra, if you're leaning back extra, and stack your spine as much as possible. Getting that engagement in your abdominal core makes the stacking just a little bit easier. Open up your chest and gently squeeze those shoulder blades and make sure that that didn't bring in extra rounding. Once again, to your lower back, your chin is neutral to your chest. You're creating length from the waist through the crown of the head up towards the ceiling. With this nice continued lift of your chest, use your next exhale to tuck your chin down to your chest. And use your inhale to look up, lift up. Exhale, look down. Resist the urge to bring any extra rounding or arching into your back. Trying to right now, just focusing on that engagement through the neck, a little through the upper shoulders. Let's get 2 more times in each direction. One more time to inhale up. And exhale down, and this time keep your chin down to your chest. We'll get some motion in the frontal plane, dropping your ear to one shoulder. Back down through to center, ear to the opposite shoulder. Still pressing your sit bones into the floor. Still working to pull your rib cage in and your belly in. There's so many things happening at one time. So feel free to move a little slower. Just know that you're doing your best, and your best is always enough. One more time to each side. All right, and then bring your chin to your chest again. And inhale, lift your chin away from your chest. Let's go ahead and bring our arms up overhead. Inhale, draw both arms up overhead. Palms facing in towards each other. Make sure you didn't bring too much extra rounding in through your back, or arching I should say, and draw that rib cage back in. So once again, coming with a neutral spine or a long elongated spine. Relax your right hand down towards the floor. You can bend your elbow, maybe forearm even comes down to the mat as you stretch your left hand fingertips to the right side of the body. Let's find a little bit of movement right here. So turn your chest down towards the floor. Reach through your fingers, and then inhale. Open yourself up towards the ceiling. Exhale. Look down towards the floor. Inhale. Open up towards the ceiling. One more time. Exhale. Look down towards the floor. Inhale. Open up towards the ceiling. Press into your right hand. Lift yourself back up. Come through center. Find that length in your spine. Take that arch out of your back. Relax your left hand down towards the floor. Maybe you bend at your elbow. Maybe your forearm comes down towards the mat. Reach your right hand fingertips to the left side, first starting with those shoulders as best you can stacked towards each other. And then use your breath. Inhale, turn your chest down towards the floor. Exhale, open yourself up towards the ceiling. Inhale to the floor. Exhale, open up to the ceiling. Once more, inhale to the floor. Exhale, open up towards the ceiling. Stack those shoulders and lift yourself back up. Go ahead and rain your fingertips down right in front of your legs. Keep your sit bones on the floor and just walk yourself forward with a nice flat back as far as you can go with your sit bones still on the floor. If your back is still feeling good, you can then find a little bit of rounding as you relax your head down. Getting some really big stretches here from a seated position into the lower back. Walk your hands as far forward as feels good for you while still maintaining the grounding of your sit bones to the floor. Maybe you want to reach through one shoulder a little bit more. Reach through the opposite shoulder a little bit more. The more that you really reach through the shoulders, the more you're going to feel the stretch radiating through that lower back. Let's gently start to walk our hands slightly in towards the center and then over to the right as much as possible, while still, once again, keeping sit bones on the floor. You can place your left hand on top of the right. Work to draw your left shoulder up. So similar to that open chest that we experienced with the arm up overhead, to really create as deep of a stretch through the left side of the body as possible. All right, grab both hands on the floor. Walk yourself all the way over to the opposite side. Go ahead, place your right hand on top of the left. Press into that hand so that you're working to open your hip back instead of having that hip turning towards your left knee. Working to stack those shoulders, creating as deep of a stretch through the left side of the body as possible. Take one more big inhale. And on your exhale, walk your hands through center. We're going to apply some pressure into our hands. We're going to lift ourselves up and come into tabletop. Yay, tabletop. Go ahead, relax the tops of the feet down on the floor. Behind you, pressing into your hands, palms. Find those nice straight arms. Elbows are locked. Take a moment here in tabletop before we come into our cat-cow with your beautiful neutral spine, with that length through the crown of your head, shoulders away from your ears, pads of the fingers and hands, palms pressed into the floor. And then let's go ahead and come into cat. So tuck your chin towards your chest, whichever direction your breath felt most natural to come into cat. Change your breath, pass all the way through. Keep those arms nice and straight. Your chest comes closer towards your triceps and biceps, pressing your knees and the tops of the feet into the floor. Feel the separation of your glutes and look up. Change your breath, change your posture. Take the full length of your breath, though, to find the movement. And keep your breath long. So it should take at least 4, if not more, seconds for you to transition from cat into cow. Beautiful. Come back to that nice neutral tabletop. Go ahead, tuck your toes under, send your hips up towards the ceiling. Let's come into down dog. So a nice big stretch happening in the shoulders. I know down dog can be a really big challenging stretch. Find what feels good for you here. So maybe you take a generous bend of your knees. Maybe you're in a little bit more of a child's pose tabletop as opposed to the hips all the way up towards the ceiling. It can help if you separate your feet a little bit wider and work to bring those heels towards the floor, starting to get a big stretch through the calves. Feel free to shift that weight forward and back just a little bit, finding what feels good for your body today. You should start to tune into, the more that you practice, what your body needs. So maybe bending one knee and then the other, starting to get that stretch on your inner outer thighs here. Oh, feels so good. Great. Go ahead, inhale your right leg all the way up towards the ceiling. We're going to shift the weight forward with that right leg lifted. Draw your knee towards your nose. Then go ahead, send it back up towards the ceiling. Shift your hips back and release your right foot down to the floor. Inhale your left foot up towards the ceiling. Keep that leg nice and high. Shift the weight forward into a plank. Draw your knee to your nose. Exhale, send it back up towards the ceiling. Press yourself back into your three-legged dog and release your left foot down to the floor. Walk your feet up to your hands. Shift the weight into your heels. Go ahead, bend your knees generously, coming into a squat, or you can hang out in your dangle, releasing your hands down to the floor. Feet about hips width distance apart, so about 6 inches between your feet. Go ahead, grab hold of your big toes, if possible, and send your hips up towards the ceiling. Find some length through your spine, so instead of bringing your head all the way down towards the floor, stretch your head to the wall in front of you in a half lift. If you can't reach your toes, just come into a half lift right here. Big stretch on the back of the legs, and then exhale, release yourself back down towards the floor. You're going to come a little bit deeper into this forward fold, get a nice little massage on the back of your hands. So if you can lift your toes up and insert your hands underneath of the feet, back to the palms facing down towards the floor, so that your toes are stepping right at where your palm meets your wrist. Once again, make sure you're not finding extra rounding through the upper back, so similar to a half lift, the way you find length through your spine. If you can't step your feet on the floor, once again, come into this half lift. Maybe your belly is on your thighs. Maybe you still need to take a generous bend to your knees because your hamstrings are super tight, but you have a delightfully straight spine. Instead of rounding through the lower back or upper back, and once more, exhale, relax and release yourself down to the floor. Maybe you grab hold of your opposite elbow, but work to stretch the crown of your head and your eyes down to the floor, not towards the space behind you. Keep your right foot ground with the mat and go ahead, step your left leg back. Release the left knee down towards the floor. You can untuck your left toes. Make sure that your right knee is not going past your toes. So you might need to wiggle that right foot forward just a little bit, coming into a nice big hip opener. Take a moment to press your left knee into the floor and squeeze the glute, and notice if that brought the stretch a little bit more into your left leg, maybe into your left quad. If you still didn't feel it and you would like to feel it, go ahead and bend your left leg. We're going to lift ourselves up. Take your left hand and place it on your right thigh and reach back with your left. Reach back with your right hand and see if you can grab hold of your left foot. Oof, that should bring a big stretch into that left quad. Oh my gosh. Maybe you need to release yourself down towards the floor. Just changing the stretch slightly. It's okay if that front knee starts to come out towards the side. We'll take one more big inhale. And exhale, release the back foot. Turn towards the front. Place your hands down on the floor. Tuck your back toes under. Lift yourself up and wiggle your front foot back to meet with the back foot. Take a moment in your plank. If you want to, you can send your hips up into a down dog, or you can simply bring that left foot forward and come into your hip opener on the opposite side. Untuck your right toes. Shift the weight forward slightly. Start to press that right knee into the floor. Little squeeze the glutes, bringing a stretch to both sides of the body. You can stay right here. If it's in your wheelhouse, lift yourself up. Bring your right hand to the top of the left knee. Reach your left hand behind you and grab hold, if you can, of your foot. Oh my gosh. Relax your shoulders away from your ears. Keep your belly pulled in tight. We got a little spine twist. We got a little hip opener. Got a little quad stretch. We're going to take 2 more breaths. And then exhale, release your back foot. Turn back towards the front. Bring your hands down towards the floor. Send your front leg back to meet with the left. Go ahead and shift the weight forward. Let's come into a cobra. Find a nice stretch from that lower back. And then exhale, relax and release yourself all the way down towards the floor. Make a nice little pillow with your hands. Bend your knees and windshield wipe your legs right and left. I promise I won't fall asleep here today. Let's come into a really big shoulder stretch here. I know we did a lot of shoulder work this week if you were joining me for some of our more active workouts. Oof. Awesome. Go ahead, extend those arms out to the side. We'll come over to the right side first, so do your best to have your right hand palm in line with your shoulder, and take your left hand and bring it all the way in close to your chest. We're going to press into our left hand so you can control how much you roll over onto the right side of the body. Relax your head down to the floor as it feels good for you. You can bend your knees if you need to. You can even start to clamshell your legs open. As you clamshell your legs open, it's going to help you open up your chest a little bit more. Make sure you're still releasing your shoulders away from your ears. You can reach behind you to really open up your chest while you're accessing that right shoulder. Or you can keep your hand on the floor for a little bit of stability. Maybe even walking your hand away to work to open your back a little bit more than your chest. Take one more big inhale. And on your exhale, bring your hand back close by your chest for support. Close your legs if you went for your clamshell. Let's roll back over onto our bellies. Extend your legs, extend your opposite arm. Make sure it's starting in line with your shoulder. Bring your right hand close in line with your chest. Take your time as you roll over onto your side. Relax and release your head to the floor. And find some length through the crown of your head. So if you noticed, I came into the stretch and I noticed that my shoulders were really close towards my ears. And I used that next exhale to find some length. I'm going to ask myself what my body can do, how it feels. And I know that it would feel good to take a little bend of those knees to help me stack my hips a little bit better. Going to open up the legs in a clamshell and see if that feels right on the lower back today, on the mid back. If it does, awesome. And if not, you can always bring those legs back together. Option to either walk your right hand further forward, bring a big stretch through the back side of the body, down through the lats, or maybe you open your top hand towards the wall behind you and bring that stretch more towards your heart center. You can try both. Find what your body needs today. What does it need on this side? Maybe it's different than what your body needed on the other side. Find it. Take 3 breaths. All right, walk that right hand back in close towards your chest. Go ahead, bring those legs back together. Take your time. Roll back over onto your belly. Oh, amazing. Bring your opposite hand in. Once again, press yourself up. into some version of cobra or sphinx. And then shift the weight to your knees. Send your hips back towards your heels. Take a moment in child's pose. Lift yourself up into tabletop. We're going to shift the weight onto our glutes. And come into deer pose. So finding some 90 angles with your legs. We're going to keep that 90 angle. And we're going to come into one more stretch for our lower backs, just in case you're super tired from sitting in a chair. Maybe you're feeling your tension in your lower back due to holiday and family stress coming up, to work stress. Lower back tension is really normal. So this is going to be a great stretch, similar to how we started. So reach into that lower back again. All right, so while you're here in your 90 stretch, you're working to get both glutes towards the floor. Whichever direction your knees are pointing, I want you to bring that same hand down to the floor. But don't collapse into that hand into the floor. Use it as a prop to press into and find some length. And we're going to take the opposite hand and dramatically inhale it up and over and really reach towards the opposite side. So you might find here that it's going to feel better to use a prop and come a little lower towards the floor, or maybe bring that forearm all the way down towards the ground. But as you work to press the back part even of this further away glute to the floor, while finding this stretch through your upper body, or maybe even just your elbow if your shoulders are hurting, you'll start to bring that stretch back to your lower back. Use your breath. Inhale, turn your chest towards the floor. Exhale, open up to the wall. Inhale to the floor. Exhale to the wall. One more. Inhale to the floor. Press into your elbow or hand or block or whatever's on the floor. Exhale to the wall. And press into your hand palm. Inhale as you lift yourself up. Let's go ahead and switch our legs to the opposite side. You might want to give yourself a nice little windshield wipe on the way through. All right, and then let's come into our 90s on the opposite side. Some nice 90-degree angles, just working to bring that back glute towards the floor. Maybe it's touching. Maybe it's like a million miles away. Wherever you're at today is totally okay. Flexibility is learned. So just keep coming back, just keep trying. Reminder, you can download that app, Stretch Break, that Jen talked about. It sent me a reminder even during this class. All right, so first just working with your breath to find some length, to relax your shoulders away from your ears, just making sure that we're not, down here like yoga gremlins. We're like proud yoga angels. All right, so relaxing that back glute to the floor and finding some stability with the hand that's closest to the direction that your knees are pointing. We're going to inhale the opposite arm up overhead. Reach through that arm as you press your glute to the floor. Ask yourself if it would feel a little more comfortable if you came down a little lower. Ooh, it feels good. Still working to press that glute towards the floor. Take a big inhale and then exhale. Turn your chest towards the floor. Inhale, open up. Exhale to the floor. Or just make sure you're changing your breath. As long as you're breathing, that's what matters. Last time. Inhale, open up. Press into your hand palm. Lift yourself back up. Bring your hands back behind you. One more opportunity to windshield wipe through those knees. Take your time. We're slowly going to lower ourselves down to our back and come into a Savasana. If you want an extra stretch in your hips, you can take your Savasana and reclined bound angle or butterfly. If that's too much on you, if you would feel that in your super relaxed lower back too much, extend your legs out, or even the option to continue feeling supported by bending your knees and tenting them. We're going to spend 2 minutes in this Savasana together and silence, starting right now. You are welcome and encouraged to stay in this Savasana for as long as feels right for your body today. 2 minutes is a great start, but if you have 3 or 5 minutes, the longer that you can just check in with yourself and your breath, to really notice how you're feeling today, to give yourself an opportunity to change your mental channel if you don't like what's playing, the better. If you're ready to close out your practice, take your time. We're going to make our way to a seated position. Go ahead, bring your hands palms to the center of your chest. Lift the corners of your mouth into a smile and be so proud of yourself for coming to class today. If you have any questions or concerns about anything I said or we did, I hope that you'll reach out. If you have any aches or pains, if you have any physical or mental challenges that we can help you with, let us know. Till you see me again, I hope that you'll continue to just think good thoughts, speak good words, eat good foods, do good deeds, nourish yourself from the inside to the out. Go ahead, bring your thumb up to your third eye, to your drishti, your focus. Pull your belly in, ground your sit bones, lift your chest, open your heart, elbows, and your amazing face towards the ceiling. Know that the light within me honors and sees and is so thankful for the light within you. I hope you have a beautiful, relaxed rest of your day. Thank you so much for coming. Namaste.